Hello everybody, Gamemode here, and today I'm going to talk about the newest adversary mode in GTA Online called Overtime Shootout. Now this was an adversary mode that was added a couple days ago in the same event that added in the HVY Nightshark into GTA Online, as well as, a few different bonuses and discounts. But it also added in this adversary mode called Overtime Shootout. And if that name is a little bit familiar, and that's because it's almost the exact same as an adversary mode that was added a couple weeks ago called Overtime Rumble. Now in Overtime Rumble, that adversary mode, it's pretty simple. Essentially, everybody is in a Ruiner 2000, and you drive down a ramp, and your objective is to open your parachute and float to one of the points on the map, which, depending on where you land, will give you a certain amount of points. It goes from 1 to 5, and this adversary mode is pretty much the exact same with one slight change, and that is, instead of every person in the game going at the same time, everyone goes individually. So this means that, whoever goes first, you're going to be spectating them. Whoever goes second, you're going to be spectating them until it gets up to your point in the game where then you will finally play. Each round is set up into 5 different segments where you, of course, get to get points, and the game mode is up to 10 players. And I gotta say that this adversary mode is honestly one of the most boring and just not fun adversary modes in GTA Online, and honestly one of the most lazy as well. And it's lazy because it's almost the exact same as one that's already in the game, and one that wasn't added that long ago. Now I understand that they were both created for the same update, of course they were both added in the gun running DLC for GTA Online, and they of course were created around the same time and both added to the game at the same time, just released at different points. But it's pretty disappointing whenever you see, oh, there's a new adversary mode in the game, and then it's almost the exact same as one that's already in the game, without that big of an alteration. Does it really impact the game mode that much that people are going individually, besides making the game mode a lot slower? In my opinion, it really doesn't. I guess it, slows down on collisions and knocking people off the map, but in my opinion, that was one of the more fun things about Overtime Rumble. It was like, do I, go first and be the first one out there to try and get that 5-point spot and try and hold it? Or do I go as one of the final guys and, choose, where, if I can knock somebody off? And that was actually one of the more tense things is, if you're at, a good position, 4 or 5 points, and then somebody could just swoop in and try and hit you, and you want to see, will they actually hit me? Will they knock me off? And that anticipation was actually one of the more fun things about Overtime Rumble. This adversary mode has none of that. And it's replaced with spectating other players for a long, long time. But I don't think it's just me in not wanting to play the adversary mode, because I know that a lot of it's just going to be waiting and watching other people experience. And I guess at times it can be a little bit funny, watching people fall off the map, or at the same time frustrating whenever you see your teammates just doing the most idiotic things out there. But I just don't understand, does Rockstar think that waiting for your turn to play in an adversary mode is a lot of fun? I don't get it. And you can be waiting there for a long time. I mean, if you played a 10-player match and you're one of the final people, it can take up to 8 to 9 minutes, maybe even close to 10, and that's an absurd amount of time to wait. That's almost long enough to get through a Fernando video. And maybe this adversary mode just isn't for me. Maybe people do like waiting and watching other people, try their luck at the game mode until they eventually get to their point in the game, and they like that slower paced gameplay. But to me, a lot of my favorite adversary modes are constant action. Adversary modes like Hunting Pack, or Cross the Line, or Extraction, or Entourage, they're all constant gameplay with different shifts in, who's winning and who's not. And you're just playing constantly. The biggest downtime is maybe whenever you die and respawn, but that's, 5 to 10 seconds at most. I love those adversary modes where it's just constant action. This adversary mode, it is fun at times whenever you do actually get to play, because, Overtime Rumble was fun. This is pretty much the exact same. And while it is a fun adversary mode, the time that you wait, at least whenever you have, 10 players or a lot of players in your match at least, it is, you do wait a long time. Only being able to play maybe 10% of the time that you invest in the match isn't really all that fun. It is a decent adversary mode whenever you're doing like a 1v1 or a 2v2. because you get to play a lot more in those and there's not as much time waiting. So I guess, if you do play with lower player accounts, then it is a better adversary mode. This is actually one of the rare adversary modes that playing with more players is actually worse and less fun, which is pretty crazy to think about. I guess the two things that I will say about this adversary mode that are quite good is, one, I do like how whoever's going in the match and whoever's turn it is, on the blimps, it does say your gamer tag. That is a small but still a pretty neat thing that happens. And also one good thing about this adversary mode is that you never really have uneven teams. Because even if you have, a match that's like 3 versus 5, it's still going to be 5 rounds, or, players will get to play 5 times. It'll just be that the team with 3 people will get, some players that go 2 times. So that is one good thing is, it's never really a unfair point advantage. Whereas in Overtime Rumble, if you had an extra person on your team, that could really be a big disadvantage to the enemy team. But even with those small cool things about this adversary mode, I just don't want to play it. And honestly, after the double money in RP, I don't see a lot of people playing it at all. And one thing that I've realized about this adversary mode, after reading what Rockstar posted on the Newswire whenever they were talking about this event, and on the Newswire they say, Overtime Shootout is all about accuracy and finesse with all eyes on you. Instead of barreling down a ramp alongside your teammates, each player gets their own time to shine, or combust, as they alternate turns in true shootout fashion. And after reading that, I realized if they wanted this adversary mode to be Overtime Rumble, but with more accuracy, more precision, and less about knocking people off the map and stuff, then why didn't they just make this adversary mode non-contact? That fixes the entire problem I have. You don't even need to make a new adversary mode for that. Just make it an option in Overtime Rumble. Turn on non-contact or not. If you don't want collisions, fine. Just turn on non-contact and it fixes the problem. I guess then you wouldn't have people watching you as you play, but does anybody really care about that? I don't know. But I just don't like this adversary mode, and there's too much waiting with honestly not that much action in an adversary mode. And honestly just not worth it for the little amount of time you get to play, especially because there's already a better one, and one with a lot more action, which is Overtime Rumble. Maybe if it came out before Overtime Rumble, then I would have maybe said they improved Overtime Shootout and turned it into Overtime Rumble. Overtime Rumble's a lot better. But now that Overtime Rumble came out first, this honestly is just disappointing, and after playing Overtime Rumble, I just don't want to play Overtime Shootout. Ever, really. Except for maybe if you were playing with friends and you wanted to do a 1v1 or, like I said, a 2v2 or something like that, then you do get a bit more action in there. But anyways, leave me your thoughts on all this in the comments. What are your thoughts on this new adversary mode? Do you like it? Do you not? And how do you think it could be improved in GTA Online? Leave me your thoughts on that in the comments. Hope you enjoy. Feedback is always appreciated. I'll see you guys in the next video.